Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss this rural development, in which we are going to discuss this unit 5th, which is administration and planning. So first topic is rural industrialization. So the rural industrialization, as the name itself saying that the village should be like converted into the industries, right? So we must have to focus like the industries must move towards the villages as well, so that the development can be done in urban as well as in rural areas, right? So the planning commission first used the term rural industries when it recommended a rural industries project program in the year 1962. So this year you have to just learn that in 1962 there was a project which was started with the name of rural industries, right? So in a report on village and small industry sector, the Planning Commission 1988 defined rural industries in the following lines. The term rural industries connotes such types of industries as khadi, village industries, handloom, handicraft, sericulture, and tiny and service industries situated in rural areas. So basically what this line means is basically they are focusing that the khadi and the village industries, handloom, they must have to shift somehow towards the rural, right? So that the rural industries can be established in the rural areas as well, and the people of the rural areas can get the work and have their daily earning, right? Now, moving ahead, we have the industries are places that manufacture goods or articles for the consumption of the masses. Industries generate employment for the society, as I have earlier told you that the basic focus is like so that the rural people also can earn their daily wages, right? So the basic need is to generate employment, right? Industries contribute to the economic development of a nation. Rural industries are non-farm activities that depend on rural resources and are primarily meant for employment generation through effective utilization of locally available resources. So these usually based in villages, hence they are popularly addressed as small scale industries, village industries, rural industries. So basically they are saying that industries, we all know that industries contribute to the economic development of the country. So basically the rural industries, like the farming activities or non-farming activities that are basically depend on the rural resources, they are basically uh, meant for the employment generation, right? So basically these are the natural small scale kind of industries, right? So we must have to focus that first of all the small scale industries must have to move towards the rural areas, right? Since employment generation is one of the essential objectives of the rural industries, they usually work with the philosophy of production of masses as opposed to mainstream industries where goods are mass produced. It aims at reducing unemployment levels and enhancing the individual and household incomes. Since the scale of activities is small, the financial requirement is also usually small. Rural industrialization includes economic activities outside agriculture carried out in village and varying in size from households to small factories. So basically their main aim is so that they can just reduce the unemployment level in the rural areas, and they must have to enhance the individual and household incomes. So as we all know that the scale of activities is very small in the rural areas, and the financial requirement is also very small because the activities are small, and this is why these small industries can also help them to survive in the rural areas as well, and they can earn the daily wages and can live happily in the rural areas, so that the kind of migration towards the urban areas can be minimized, right? Some examples of these activities are cottage industry village and small scale manufacturing and, processing industries and services of various kinds. The term rural used as prefix to industrialization is to indicate a need for clear conditionality and connectivity between industrialization processes and distinct section of society. So basically, this rural is used as the prefix of industrialization. As we are using uh, industrialization, the rural industrialization means that somehow we are just industrializing the villages, right? So now industrialization is a process of producing goods and services using certain specific inputs, technologies, and manufacturing procedures. Rural industry is the traditional sense as construed as the economic activity characterized with features like ease of entry, lands of indigenous resources, small scale operation, adopted technology, and skills acquired outside the formal schooling system. However, this segment suffers from technological obsolescence, low productivity, inefficiency, inconsistent quality, and drudgery and dependence upon nature's clemency. So basically, this whole unit is just depending on the kind of nature that we are moving forward in the rural areas. We just want to have the industries in the rural areas as well, so that the people of the rural areas can earn, and the migration that I have earlier told you, the migration can be minimized to the urban areas, so that the population can be balanced in both the regions, right? So first one is Gandhian approach to rural industrialization. So the rural industrialization is not a very recent topic. Uh, as the name itself saying Gandhian approach, so there was something in the mind of Gandhiji that rural industries must be established so that the equality can be maintained in a whole region of the country, right? Then Mahatma Gandhi, as a visionary of India, had a very clear perception of its village and made an empathic assertion that India lives in her 7.5 lakhs of villages, right? At that time, India was having almost 7.5 lakhs of villages, right? 7.5 lakhs of villages were there in the in that period, right? He further believed that India will have to live in villages, not in towns, in huts, not in palaces, right? Uh, the mean is like they know that most of the peoples are belong to the rural areas and they generally belong to the poor family and not from the rich family, so they are just looking forward to generate the employment for them, right? He had this conviction by saying that if villages perishes, India will perish too. That means if we will do the nourishment of the village, then definitely the country will have the nourishment, right? That means the poverty, the unemployment, the kind of problems which we are having in the country can be minimized with the help of villages only, right? Because the basic root of a country is village, right? So Gandhi played the leading role in securing for India political independence from the British Raj. We all know this through organizing and mobilizing Indian people from all walks of life in a peaceful and non-violent manner. He is therefore rightly called the father of nation because with the pleasant kind of working, with the non-violence working, he had established the independence in the India, not only India, but in South Africa as well, right? Gandhiji's approach to India's rural development was holistic and people-centered. It was rooted in his conviction in the tenets of truth, non-violence, and the goodness of human beings, right? So the basic root behind the Gandhi's thinking was that there must be the goodness of human beings, right? Whether they are living in the urban areas or in the rural areas, right? Influenced as he was by Tolstoy, Ruskin, and the teachings of the Gita, he placed more emphasis on moral and spiritual values and economic motives as a means of overall development. So he wanted to have the overall development of the country, right? He found that the progress of the country lies in the development of majority of its rural villages, develop rural economic, industry and rural skills, right? Gandhiji found the only way of bringing hope of good living to rural people is by making village a central place in his economic program. Rural development as outlined by Gandhiji contains self-sufficiency, interdependence for other wants and development of village industries. So basically the whole motive of Gandhiji was the development of village industries so that they can have the wages on the daily basis and can earn similarly as they want to earn in the urban areas, right? Then he wanted to bring about rural reconstructions with the sound scientific and spiritual values. So he wanted to have the rural reconstruction. Why? Because uh, we all know that most of the peoples living in the rural area are the farmers, but the Gandhiji approach was that there must be equality between farmers and other kind of peoples who are living in urban areas as well, right? Through his 18-point constructive program, Gandhiji successfully implemented his rural reconstruction activities in Sevagram Center near Varda in 1935. So basically, as I have earlier told you, that 1962 was the year when this planning commission was first used for the rural industries, right? But the approach was earlier clear by Gandhiji that he wanted to have the villages to stand near the cities, right? So Gandhian dream of Indian villages. What was the dream of Gandhiji for the Indian villages? Gandhiji's ideal village belongs to the pre-British period. So uh, he was having the ideology that the village before the British period was very good, when Indian villages were the small republics and is undistributed by the periodical visitations of barbarous hordes. So when we were not having this kind of British system, the kind of villages we were having were absolutely perfect, right? There was no any kind of distribution between the people, right? This republican character of the villages was destroyed by the British rule. So basically, the republican character of villages was destroyed by the British rule. Therefore, in Gandhian plan of rural reconstruction, the ancient republican village without any kind of exploitation. Gandhi aimed at the attainment of village Swaraj. So he wanted to have the village to be a independence kind of place, right? Where the people of the village can do their work with the freedom, right? Uh, as we all know that in the British period there was some kind of restrictions on the villagers. For an example, in the Bihar, Champaran, there was a kind of law that the farmers must have to grow the indigo plantation, right? So this kind of things Gandhiji was not in favor. Gandhiji fully understood the consequence of Western type of industrialization in India. He was conscious of the fact that foreign industrialization would destroy the Indian society by eliminating us and decentralized rural industries and further leads to improvement. So basically, Gandhiji was well understood with the consequence that the Western type of industrialization in India would be there definitely because the British has already uh, captured the India in their hand. So there is some kind of impact of Western style in India, right? So the once self-sufficient and self-contained rural villages have been drained progressively. He wanted to reverse this trend and bring out rural reconstructions based on the sound scientific and spiritual values. Gandhian strategy of rural construction was based on village Swaraj and Swadesi movement. The basic principle of village Swaraj as outlined by Gandhiji are true trusteeship, Swadesi, full employment, bread labor, self-sufficiency, decentralization, equality, Nai Talim, etc. So Gandhiji wanted to have the village to be full Swaraj and outlined by trustship, Swadesi, full employment, bread labor, self-sufficiency, decentralization, and equity, Nai Talim, etc. Thus, the Idea of ideal village of Gandhian dream was comprehensive one, encompassing the economic, social, political, and educational dimensions. Gandhiji gave emphasis on truth and non-violence in every aspect of human life, right? So, Gandhiji wanted the village to be having the Swaraj, that means independence. He wanted to have the villages to be industrialized so that the people can earn their daily wages in the village only and they do not have to panic to go to the urban areas. Now, Khadi and village industries. Now, this topic is about the Khadi, that are the kind of cloth, right, and village industries. For Gandhiji, Khadi was an instrument of decentralization of production and distribution of the basic necessities of life and ensuring work to all. Definitely, there was some kind of thought inside Gandhiji that the Khadi can become a kind of movement for the Swadeshi kind of things, right? So it would definitely help in production and distribution of the basic necessities of life because people would be having their own work if they would just go towards the khadi, right? He also favored the promotion of other village industries such as hand grinding, hand pounding, soap making, paper making, metal making, oil seed crushing, tanning, etc. He advocated the use of manual labor and opposed the introduction of machine, fearing that they would displace human labor. So basically, he was in favor to use the manual labor because he was having the kind of fear that machine would definitely going to replace the human labor. So he was in favor that human labor must have to work in place of machines, right? But he appreciated the role of new technologies if they were appropriate, indigenous, and did not affect the level of employment and standard of living. Gandhi mentality means decentralization of production and distribution of the necessities of life. Khadi has played an important role in the village. It can fulfill the poor three's basic necessities: cloth, roti, kapda, and makan. That's what we say, right? So that is the cloth, work, and self-confidence to articulate themselves. So Gandhiji considered khadi as an inevitable means for all the around development of the nation, right? He said in 1921, just we cannot live without breathing and without eating. So it is impossible for us to attain the economic independence and banish passion, papyrism from the ancient land without reviving home spinning, right? So in 1934, Gandhiji wrote in Harijan, Khadi is the son of the village solar system. Basically, uh, his approach was that the Khadi must be a kind of thing that would be going to give the employment to the rural people as well as it will generate the kind of economy or economic conditions or economic money for the rural areas. The planets are the various industries which can support khadi in return for the heat and substance they derive from it. Without it, the other industries cannot grow, and also without the revival of the other industries, khadi could not make further process. According to Gandhiji, khadi can solve a number of economic and other problems of the India as shown below. So basically, he was having the thought that the khadi can solve these number of problems that we are going to discuss. Under khadi economy, the capital is under the control of the labor and supremacy of the man over machinery can be established. That means the khadi economy, the capital is basically under the control of the labor, right? And the supremacy of man over machinery. That means they want the man to work over the machines, not machines to work on the man, right? So each village can be self-sufficient through the welfare of these villages. India will also prosper. That means the village must be self-sufficient, right? And then only can India can prosper, right? The villages can take up all the stages of khadi production for earning wages, which can supplement their meager resources. Spinning wheel give employment opportunities to village carpenters, blacksmith, weavers, and can create self-sufficiency in villages. Khadi alone can give encouragement to other village industries. Spinning is the honorable and deserved occupation for the women of India. With the popularization of spinning wheel, women need not to go to their houses for earning their bread. Khadi industry has great organizing potentialities in India. Millions of people are involved in production, distribution, and consumption of khadi. Spinning is easy to learn and requires no outlay of capital. Right? And the khadi is the only industry which can absorb large number of people and can provide employment to the unemployment at any time of the year without much difficulty. Khadi industry provide work to the people during famine period. The state should purchase the product of khadi during the famine. It is an insurance against the adversity of famine conditions. Right? The spinning wheel provides the people food, clothes, and make them self-sufficient. So this is basically about the kind of Gandhian approach, the kind of introduction to the rural development. Right? So for this lecture, we will just stop it here. And in the next lecture, we will start with the topic usage of technology in rural development, right? So how we can develop the rural areas with the help of new technologies. We are going to discuss it in the next lecture. So thank you so much for joining us. If you are having any kind of doubts, you can just comment out in the comment section. So thank you so much everyone.